people who don't ever want to have kids. Why? Totally agree with this. Right now my reason for not wanting kids is just that ... I don't want them, and because I think kids deserve parents who 110% love them and are willing to make sacrifices for them. I'd say that's reason enough. I don't want kids unless, at some point down the road, I can say with complete certainty that I do. Because I believe that children deserve parents that will love them, always put them first, spends quality time with them and makes sacrifices so that their children can have the best opportunities, but at the same time have the strength to set boundaries and discipline them in a healthy so they grow into good human beings. Also because I don't currently have a partner or much financial stability in my life at this stage, and I don't want to be a single parent or bring a child into the world if I'm not in a position to provide for them. And I don't trust myself to be unselfish enough to be everything that I believe a child deserves. I sometimes catch myself thinking that children might be nice, but until I'm sure of myself, financially stable and in a steady relationship, a child is unlikely to be in the picture. Same with my mom. I keep telling her that we want to be financially and mentally ready for kids before even planning. Her answer: it's selfish to just live for yourself. Life is about family and kids give your life a whole new meaning. Now I did say that we just want to be ready, but her answer makes me angry. Haha. Kids are not all in life. My life does have a meaning and me and my husband are a family even without the kids. Yup, my mother-in-law keeps telling us she wants us to have kids, yet we have no desire to have children. My brother-in-law had a kid with his wife just to make his mom happy. He didn't want kids either, and he is broke as a joke. Feel bad for him. Never have kids just for the grandparents. This is exactly it for me. I take care of what needs to be done. I have a good job. I have great people in my life, but I'm selfish with my free time. I need time to myself and I'm not willing to sacrifice that for kids. I don't even dislike them. I have plenty of great kids in my life that I have watched grow up and I truly love and enjoy them. I just don't have any desire whatsoever to be the one responsible for taking care of them. I'm lazy. I like my free time. I like money, well, the little I have. I like sleep. I've also just never had the instinct in me to want kids. I feel complete without them. Plus it's scary enough worrying about my own future, let alone the future of miniature humans I am responsible for bringing into the world. Rather give it a miss. I'm a child-free teacher, and I honestly don't know why more teachers don't want to be child-free too. I love my job, and it is an absolute privilege to help their futures. And I really do feel like I'm putting something into the next generation. I just don't have a desire for the next generation to have my genes. Also, without wanting to be too crass, I kind of value being able to go home and have somewhere that isn't full of kids, and that doesn't seem illogical to me. If I was a doctor, I wouldn't want to have a bunch of sick people in my house. It's convinced me enough I'm going to get snipped next month. Suggestion: get a couple bags of frozen peas now. You'll want to rotate between at least 2 of them for the first few days. Also, if you partake in either alcohol or other sedating substances, you'll want to have some handy for a day or 2 at least. I am a child-free high school biology and chemistry teacher. When I first started teaching, I was kinda on the fence about having kids. I just finished my 9th year teaching and I love my job, but I am now 100% certain I don't want my own kids. I love my students, and you're right, having a free captive audience while I nerd out about some topic is awesome, but I couldn't stand coming home and spending the rest of my limited time with even more children. It's convinced me enough I'm going to get snipped next month. I'm actually considering becoming a teacher too, and I also don't want kids. I love science and I like to explain things about ecology or biology, so teaching is like a free captive audience. JK I had a really shitty science teacher and a really shit school, and I want to offer something better to kids. My parents were kind of neglectful and I got bullied a lot, so I feel like I would be a teacher that could show them empathy they wouldn't normally get. I feel like I'm too poor to have my own and I worry about not being a good parent and also losing my freedom, but kids that go away at the end of the day might not be so bad. Same, lethal combo of mental health disorders, anxiety and depression, with chronic physical disorders. Psoriatic arthritis, I can barely take care of myself and there's no way I could keep up with a toddler. Also, I really believe that every child deserves to get the best parental care possible, and if I can't provide that, I don't think I should have a child. However, I heap tons of love and care on my nibblings. I basically can't function without SS or eyes, so I'm not passing that on to a child. No thank you. I become impulsive, depressed, anxious, and disassociated and end up running on basically zero serotonin. I'm basically a ghost, zombie without them. I've tried living with them and without them for 25 years since I was 12 years old. I'm only now coming out of a manic episode where my emotions just kind of turned off for a month. Most of my mother's side were alcoholics due to this, with my mom breaking that streak thankfully by swearing to avoid drugs, alcohol after my brother and I were born. I have brothers who have kids. That's good enough for me being an uncle. It's hard for people without mental disorders to understand that fear. I knew at a young age that I 100% wanted kids, as many as I could have. Now I'm older and I've seen how absolute and destructive the hereditary mental illness is in my family. Now I'm questioning whether I want to pass that on, because I would never want my child to feel what I've felt. That's the sad truth of it, isn't it? I have the same reasoning for not wanting kids, and when I try to explain this to my friends that have children, I often get the "you'll never be ready." I wasn't ready, but when we were surprised with children, we figured it out. You'll figure out a way to make it work once you have them. That is not advice I'm comfortable with. Edit. Most of you who are defending the never prepared sentiment are entirely missing my point. A lot of you are talking about how the birth of your child has affected you, not the child. I'm concerned with the opportunities I can afford the child. That is what really worries me. I hope more people really think about it, and feel ready for children before they decide to bring someone to this really difficult existence. I was not so lucky. You both sound like you'd still make way better parents than the people who will never consider their children even when they are physically here at all. I tip my hat to you both. Edit. For making such a thought-out and responsible choice to not have kids. Edit. Number 2. I have many people in my family who have made the same choice due to mental health and physical health reasons, and I could not admire and respect them more. It's a constant battle, and I also would not wish anyone's life to be that hard if avoidable. Yeah, I'm with this. My 2 younger half-brothers are 10 and 13 years younger than me, and I have a sister 3 years older. My sister and I basically raised my little brothers because our mom was working a lot of nights and weekends, and their father was always playing video games while we fed him and bathed them and all that stuff. As an added bonus, one of my brothers had type 1 diabetes from the age of 3, so we would regularly look after his blood sugar levels and give him insulin injections. We were still teenagers at the time too. Now I have no interest in having kids because I already know all the work involved and I've done it before, and my partner isn't interested in kids either. We would rather save our money and travel the world. I was parentified as child to my 4 younger siblings. When I see a child now, I act nice but cannot wait to get away from it. A child crying, screaming immediately puts me in an angry, foul mood for the rest of the day. I had my share of caring for kids, and have next to nothing positive come out of it. This happened to me in February. I'll be honest, I didn't know it happened while giving birth. Barely made it to the hospital. The stitching after the fact fucking sucked. Though, no amount of numbing truly kept me from wincing as my obs stitched me up. God, don't get me started on when I leaned wrong and popped a stitch. Yes, I'm surprised I had to scroll this far to find this comment. My aunt became pregnant when I was 16. I remember one day she came into my bedroom and said, "Hey, check this out," and lifted her shirt. Her belly was rippling and moving. You could see huge bumps moving across her skin. At one point, I swear I saw the outline of a tiny footprint for a few seconds. She thought it was adorable. I couldn't bear to look at, let alone touch, her stomach. She insisted that it didn't hurt at all, but it honestly looked like something from the movie Alien. If you're really curious, you can look up videos of babies kicking from inside the womb on YouTube to get an idea of what I'm describing. I decided there and then that I did not want kids. It was honestly a relief when I realized I was a lesbian and that I would never accidentally become pregnant. Pregnancy is absolutely a form of body horror. I don't think I would be able to even look at my own belly if I ever somehow became pregnant. As a parent of 2 young kids, this is the answer. Not necessarily pub, but just basically being able to do whatever the fuck whenever the fuck is glorious. I absolutely love my kids and they enrich my life in a lot of ways, but you sacrifice a lot. For some people, the trade-off is worth it. For others, it's not. All respect in the world to people who understand themselves well enough to know that it's a sacrifice they don't want to make. It's okay to just enjoy your life. Same. I've had a male friend in tears with me because he was unable to get his wife pregnant and he said, "What kind of a man can't have kids? I'm a failure," and while I wouldn't never dream of saying anything, in the back of my mind I was thinking I'd be overjoyed by the same news. Funny how things work out. This was what I hated most when talking about the prospect of future kids. Guess what? I will be 50 in roughly 6 months and have never for 1 second regretted not having kids. I regret not telling off the doctors who wouldn't tie my tubes in my late 20s back in the 90s because I would change my mind. I didn't. I regret that I can't call the bitch of a nurse who told me the personal story about her least maternal ever daughter loving being a mom to tell her that I am not her daughter and I'm happy childless at 49. Or all the people who said once you meet the right guy you will change your mind. I did meet the right guy. Didn't change my mind. I regret that women are still experiencing this bullshit more than 2 decades after I did. Those are my regrets about the subject of having kids. I'll be fine in my old age with all the money I saved by not having them. I cannot stand people telling me you'll change your mind. It's an absolute trigger for me. I've started telling them they'll change their mind about choosing to have kids, and they look at me like it's the rudest thing they've heard and I go, "That's literally what you just did to me." It's like people are oblivious to words they say. I think it's more about how we'll be exposed, for the very first time in our lives ever, to children, melt at the cuteness and want one of our own, or see firsthand that it's not that bad when our friends will start bringing their kids everywhere when we organize stuff and then realize it's fine to have one. I don't know. People who are invested in making people who don't want kids want to have kids have the weirdest arguments, and not even creative ones. My friends start having children, etc. This is one of the most bullshit arguments I hear about kids. So you're telling me I'll be peer pressured into it? I'll keep hearing about it over and over then break and give in? Like, motherfucker, you told me if Johnny jumped off the bridge would I jump off too, and now you're saying just wait until all your friends jump off bridges then you will too. It's fucking absurd. There's people who wanted kids, or thought they wanted kids, and then as time passes, they change their mind or realize they never wanted kids, but no one ever mentions. It's always the people who don't want kids who are told, "Oh, maybe you'll change your mind," and never the people who want kids. this, so many people are convinced you'll change your mind. Nope, that is a fairy tale. Like sure it happens to some people, or circumstances change, but for example, my mom told me I would meet someone I would want to have kids for. Hard to do that when you ask about procreation preference on the first date. I always feel bad when people are trying to show me pictures of their kids and I'm like yeah that's a baby but no further reaction. I don't want to try and stop them from talking about parenthood if it makes them happy, similar to how I wouldn't stop someone from gushing about their hobby even if I don't get it. Another part to this entire thing is how we are raised and how it's going to affect us, come the future, when a population of, say, the United States, is as high as it is. There's a trend where population growth stagnates due to the high population, and a lot of these trends are fueled by reasons, such as availability of living space, availability of food, financial stability, availability of time and energy, religious purposes, and more that I don't know or fully understand, and at this time, living space is at a premium. Even in Montana, trailer spots can easily cost $40,000, cost of supplies are increasing. Due to the pandemic, financial stability is minimally even, especially with a college degree, time and energy spent on trying to stay together in these tough times, and other things that makes 2020 a particularly bad time to have babies. And the reason why the growth was so major back in the 50s and such was because of much the opposite. Living space was being made all the time and at cheap prices, cost of supplies were low, it was easy to be financially stable even just getting out of high school. While there was worry about the Soviets, there was still plenty of time and energy to have fun with others, and other factors that made being a parent seem worthwhile. Doctor, being a parent in 2021 is by and far much harder than being a parent in the 50s. I agree so much. I'm one of the people who was in extreme emotional pain for not having kids, and I had some. And I wish so many more people thought like you're saying. As much as I desperately wanted my kids, there are days that I think about all the things I could have done without them and wonder why the hell I wanted them so bad, and there are days when it's a superhuman struggle just to make it to bedtime. Don't get me wrong, I adore them and I'm lucky to be their mom, but it's not the easy road. People who don't want kids and are strong enough to go against the societal expectation of procreation deserve lots of encouragement and high fives because parenting is too damn hard to get into it on a whim. Your point is perfect. Asking people why they are having kids instead of why not is absolutely the question we should all be asking. So many fewer kids would be abused and neglected if we started there instead. If anything, it's people who want, decide to or have kids who should be asked why. They're the ones undertaking a huge life change and serious responsibilities and imposing their choice on someone who didn't ask anything. Edit preemptively. I don't need replies from people who need to tell me why they had kids. I don't care. It's not my business. I'm just saying that as far as small talk or discussions about reproductive choices go, people doing something are a better topic than people who are not doing something. Like, no one is going to ask me why are you not climbing the Everest? Same. It feels so weird to be asked why I don't want kids because the answer is a simple I just don't want them. No deep dark secrets or anything like that. Just like I didn't want to major in accounting or learn to play the violin. There's nothing wrong with it. I simply have no interest for myself. That whole thing about your friends start having kids and it will make you want one. Funny thing was people around me having kids was the exact reason my 50-50 went to I don't want them. I can tolerate kids for short spans of time like I'll babysit, but at the end of the day I don't have to deal with the stressful part of having kids: sickness, tantrums, money, etc. Lack of desire to become a parent or have kids. You know how some people want kids so bad, They suffer mentally and emotionally from not having them or knowing they can't have them. How people say they feel hormonal, wanting kids real bad. They can't control it. Their ovaries are exploding, baby fever, or any other colloquialism about wanting to have a baby real soon. Never had that. People kept telling me that as I'd grow older, would reach my 30s, find my soulmate, my friends start having children, etc., I would start to have that feeling. I went through all these milestones and I still don't have that desire for kids. And I don't think it's necessary to have kids if one does not have the desire for it.